Ooh, got a little chili.
Make it clap.
Just make it clap.
Just make it clap. We're back. Back. Let's go.
Yeah. One more time. Busta Rhymes.
Gotta put some music somewhere in there.
Right? Yeah, that song actually.
Yeah, for sure.
That song.
Come on for that shit.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah. Welcome back.
That's right. Pilots and Pirates. We got fucking world droner extraordinaire Remy with us.
Handsome fella.
Got
What's up, Papa? Welcome back, Papa.
guys.
We got him for a couple of weeks. He has a couple of weeks in New York before he departs again.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm leaving this place for winter.
He does.
Winter's coming.
He flies east for the winter.
That's nice though, man. It's good to be able to do that.
He flies
man.
east for the winter.
That's
It is.
dope.
It's
No, for
fucking
sure.
dope. Absolutely,
I'm proud
bro.
of that.
My man doesn't fucking spend any time in the cold, which is really getting fucking annoying, to be honest with you.
Yeah, man, like your bones, you know, it just feels like you have arthritis for months.
Yo, it's tough, man.
I don't like the cold.
I walked my dog all summer in fucking chancletas, no socks, and now I gotta put on a sweatshirt and the socks and the whole fucking thing. It's really annoying.
We get it. You like to be naked.
Only in front of cameras.
No, you said this behind closed doors too. You said this.
What? I like it.
It's okay.
It's freeing.
That's all right.
It's
That's all right.
free.
That's
Now
all
when
right.
you're fixing my drone or you're building something, I'm just
Well,
gonna
you know, I make
picture
sure.
the
Well,
worst.
that's why my drones fly so good, because there's a lot of nut juice on it.
Or are you watching the nuts naked or something?
No, never the nuts naked. Not anymore.
At least something, all right? Skivvies?
Not anymore.
Rope?
No, naked, bro. Naked. Don't ever sit on my desk chair.
Just ball juice everywhere.
Everywhere, just juices. Hugo.
I'm gonna go sit by the bongos.
Oh God.
Don't
Oh,
even
man.
touch those, man.
Right. Thinking about it, man. What's on the skin?
There's 2 bongos. Think about it.
One for each night.
Yeah,
Left and right.
exactly.
Exactly, bro. The high one and the low one.
We're supposed to be talking about a subject today. We
Oh,
got
okay.
way off.
We need the intro. It has to be funny. People like hearing this, the banter, you know? But the topic at hand today, all right, we're here at Oasis, this beautiful park that is still kind of a hidden gem, I'd like to say, right? It's not for everybody doesn't know about this. There's definitely their local crew that comes out here all the time.
Right, there's like
but
2 handfuls.
Yeah. But city-wise, there's not a lot of people that creep out here from the city on a regular basis, you know? Like it's a very, it's an exclusive treat to come out here because
sure.
it's just a massive fucking park. So many ways to connect it. It's green, grass, yet no matter what you fly, you'll always have one of these fucking things happening. Brentwood is fucking, anytime I come out to this exit, I'm breaking something. Without a fucking doubt.
Yeah, but you come here thinking like, gonna have a good line, hopefully we're not trying to break nothing, but
No matter what, man, it's
inevitable.
It's part of the hobby. If you ain't crashing, you ain't flying. And I'm gonna live and die by that shit. That's what we've been saying forever. But Remy had a fucking great topic. That it was a discussion on, the Instawebs about a few weeks ago about, is a GoPro a cinematic camera?
Or can it be used as a cinematic camera? So that's been the topic at hand right now. A lot of influencers, a lot of our friends out there in Instagram world, a lot of fellow pilots, and disagree. Everybody has their own opinion, and that's why we're here to add to the conversation as well. All right, and this isn't something to be taken as we're shooting rocks or anything like that, because we're coming from a place of love and sharing information on this side of
Absolutely,
the field, right?
absolutely.
Because people do use the GoPro for professional gigs. Now, not every professional gig in either the States, commercial cinema, whatever industry is not going to use that specifically. We all know that. But we want to talk about the new GoPro and what it has to offer.
Absolutely.
And would we use that for our projects, or would you use that on your projects and the things that you do around the world?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if I was to put a link to every project I've done with GoPro, and sometimes, most of the time, I didn't edit it, maybe, let's say, because we'll have somebody specific, but it looks great. You know what I'm saying? It fits the video, it fits the vibe, and obviously that goes down to how the person is, preparing for that shoot. At the same time, understanding the GoPro in and out, because, it is still limited in some ways.
Right.
But if you know how to use it in the right situations, then you're fine, Like, it's all about knowing when to change your frame rate to 30, to 60, you know, are you gonna use slow-mo? Are you gonna, do you need more motion blur? Do you know, what NDs are you using?
Right.
It's all these little details that can help the GoPro, enhance the GoPro, you know, from what it is already. So, but it's a more simplified version of a cinematic camera. You know, you could have longer battery life in some ways. You know, you don't have the headache of certain things. Maybe even the pressure for some people of flying a cinema camera is too much.
That's a very good point right there.
Like people are spending $10,000 to $50,000 in the air.
Right.
Not everybody has the balls to like handle that, you know?
Or even the means.
Yeah.
Or even the means.
I mean,
Not
look,
everybody.
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes budget, like people want to pay you for a GoPro, but they don't, you know, you tell them your cinematic camera price and they don't want to do that.
That's also very
That's
true.
on them too.
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
not, sometimes your choice is based on what your client wants, in a sense, budget or the end goal, in a sense.
Now, let me ask both of you this, okay? Is cinematic, how do we define cinematic? Am I cinematic because I have a fucking FX3 on my drone? Or am I cinematic by the way I'm flying and capturing the content or whatever, the subject, whatever you want to call it? Because in my eyes, it's not about the camera, it's about how you're flying and how you're capturing and what's the purpose of the shoot. Like right here, I'm using a GoPro, but I'm flying freestyle. I'm not trying to capture anything. I'm trying to actually have fun and fly and enhance my skills. But on a set, I'm not flying the same way. I'm flying very smooth. I'm not kicking the ass out that I love to do. There's very few tricks involved, you know. On a set, you might do a power loop or maybe a split S. If that,
at most,
You're
right.
definitely using an orbit, some variety of the orbit, you know. A split S also could be used, but power loops, I'll be honest with you, and we were talking about this on the ride here. In the last 3 years that I've been working in the professional world, I've done 2 power loops on set. 2. I mean, I've done them for myself, but only 2 have been used for the shot, you know? So I label cinematic more along the lines of how you're flying rather than what camera is on the drone. What do you guys think?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think you need to have, obviously, a certain vision of how you're gonna shoot something cinematic, you know, like, there's so many factors with FPV sometimes. So you have to factor in that experience, but on top of that, like, how are you leading into that line? You know what I'm saying? How are you making the turns and all that? Like, it's all the little details that you go here and practice for. That's why, like, I mean, I don't really do, you know, all the freestyle stuff anymore. I'm here to work on my turns. I'm here to work through, okay, my confidence through a gap, what speeds I like. And I watch that back and I'm like, okay, I made some mistakes here on this right turn, left turn. So when I get into a cinematic situation, I'm good. And then there's the camera.
Of course.
In which, like, you know, can make it look amazing. It can make or break it, depending on how you know how to use that camera.
Exactly.
So I think it's both things. I think it's you understanding what your limits are as a pilot and how to work on that. And then at the same time, adding the camera and understanding that camera full on to make both of those things come together and make a baby.
Right. Well, no, I get you, but it's what you do pre and post, right?
Always.
Right?
It's your preparation and turns into your confidence.
Yep.
And your confidence leads into, hopefully, a beautifully, you know,
Good production,
cinematic
something,
production or whatever you do. But it's all those things leading into it, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need both, I think, in my opinion, to be considered. And I think, back to the GoPro, like, it's the same concept as using any other thing, more lightweight. You know, obviously in concerts and things, most of the time they're not gonna fly that.
Exactly.
They're not gonna use $10,000.
But it looks cinematic.
Of course.
I mean, there's limits to, the real difference between a cinematic camera and a GoPro really is the low light situation.
Yes, 100%.
You don't have the full capacity to control your GoPro with aperture, with, you know, the native ISO. Like, if you go past 400, you know, you go to 800, it's so noisy and you gotta work so much in post to fix that. So that's the real big difference in my opinion. Yes, there's other things, you know, most of it, because in production, they're shooting 24 frames.
Exactly, 2397.
And if you shoot 24 on a GoPro, it looks choppy. So that's another thing too.
And that's great you said that, because for example, for all the GoPro users out there, your maximum is 400, and if you have decent light, you could bump it up to 800, use a little bit of noise reduction on whatever editing software you're using. But this camera that we used to shoot Pilots and Pirates, you could use an ISO of 12,000 with no problem, and it looks insane.
Yeah, because the native, that's the native on it.
It's the native, it's the sensor you're using, the lens and all these things. The GoPro is limited to what it has on it. You can't change the lens. And if it does, because okay, the GoPro, you can go from linear to wide to super view to hyper view, and it changes the lens from a 16 to a 19 to a 24, but it's not an actual lens change. It's a digital measure that's just cropping in or zooming out, you know? So all this could be manipulated in post-editing, while as for the camera that we're using now, which is a Sony Alpha 7 IV, that lens is that lens. I'm not gonna be able to change it digitally. I could zoom in or I could push out, but I can't digitally change it from a 19 to a 24, while in the GoPro, I can.
See, now that there goes the difference. Now, you two different cameras for two different uses,
Exactly.
right? This camera we're using for a more cinematic look, a more
Absolutely.
professional post, like actually a production in post, you know,
100%.
Right? And then the same is to be said for the new GoPro. Some people are gonna use that also as a professional camera because it's smaller, right? It's easier to get. I mean, and if you know how to use the tuning, the pro tuning behind the settings and all of that, it'll work for some folks. Not everybody's gonna agree. Even my closest of friends, there's people out there that are probably not gonna like what it is we're saying, but we're only putting this out there because not everything, especially like the GoPro itself, that's not for everybody. You know, and this camera that you're providing is not for everybody exactly. as well. Like you can't put this on rigs. Like if I may, you know what I'm saying? Like you these are if you can, please hold on to that, man. Used for specific
We are
things.
using these as well.
Yeah.
Right.
But not as often, obviously.
Correct.
But you're absolutely right, Manny, because these cameras come with a certain level of knowledge that you need to have in order to use them. Remy mentioned aperture, and I'll give you a quick aperture. The lens of a GoPro is set. You can't change the aperture. It's set on, I think it's whole, I'm not even gonna make it up, but basically everything is sharp, right? All right. When you see cinema cameras, they have lenses, not really the camera, it's the lens, the aperture. What that does is it blurs out the background, right? So if it's focused on the subject, the lens, the background is blurred, which gives it a more focus. This is why there's directors, there's DPs, there's assistants, because they're focused on the look. What do I want this to look like? The GoPro is always gonna look the same, right? It's always gonna have the same look of everything is sharp. I think it's called hyperfocal, if I'm not mistaken, where everything is in focus.
Yeah.
Right? While is the cameras that have the ability to control the aperture, you could choose whether you want everything focused or just the subject.
Well,
and
actually,
rest
the
blurred
new
out.
macro lens on this has a focus
Really?
layering.
See, so there you go.
it's
So
kind of
they're actually,
interesting.
the
I
13
need
will
to
be
test
more
it out
cinematic.
more. Yeah, and I mean, I don't want. We don't need to get into the details of the new
but,
GoPro in a
please
sense.
share the reason why
But
you
they
have
can
that is
live
for you to
together,
share.
as you can see, a little bit.
Yeah, no, but
No, they do.
but
Okay.
that for example,
that's a hard
that's
flex.
something you need to do. Look, cinematic flying with both. Why? Because you need the fucking gyro data from the GoPro in order to steady it in gyro flow,
Right,
right?
right,
Yeah,
right,
or whatever
technically.
for stabilizing
Well,
software.
I believe
you
the
use.
Blackmagic now has gyro information built
okay.
in
The
through
new
an update.
ones.
Through an update.
Oh, no shit. Oh,
I
nice.
believe. Don't quote me on it
Yeah,
fully,
yeah.
but I think I remember it happening in the last year or
Okay.
so.
Okay.
So that was cool to have. But yeah, I mean the new GoPro, which we have here, the 13, comes out like in about a week and a half, I think, officially, or starts shipping this week. I don't know, one of the other things, but
We'll see by the time one cuts this up and puts this out.
It might be out. It might be out. Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, man, like the log on this creates more room for, you know, somebody that knows how to grade and do those things
See, I
to
wanna-
play around with it more.
I want to touch that because that's exactly, it's like for a noob like myself, you know, you guys are, you know, the people that I'm coming up on that and learning. That would be too much information for someone like myself that's out there, and they, you know, this is good help.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah, for sure.
now you're breaking down things and opening up doors that these questions need to be answered. You know, there are going to be tons of questions. You know, people are going to be asking about lighting, shutter speed, ISO, and stuff like that. And that's the big difference between knowing what it is you're doing with what you're using, and not just buying a GoPro, just going to go
For sure.
to buy a GoPro.
And I mean, Manny has been around since the beginning of this journey where we started filming this with GoPros.
Right.
And then I was like, this is not the look I want. This is not exactly what I want to do, which is why I bought this camera. And then we started with the camera and I'm like, wait, the mics don't sound good. And we bought the mics. Right. And then I'm like, but the light is not good. And then we bought NDs, and that's the progression just continued, because filming on a GoPro, most new FPV pilots put the GoPro on the camera, hit record, and they forget about it, and everything is on automatic. Yeah. And if you don't know the difference between selecting your settings and automatic, I'll give you a quick one. When you are on automatic, as you go through light and shade, all the settings change. So that's when you see like it gets dark and all of a sudden it gets light, and then you go into the light and all of a sudden the ISO closes. That's because your settings are on automatic, and the camera is doing everything, all the color grading for you. So that way when you want to post it, you just take it off the camera and throw it on Instagram. In the professional world, nothing is on automatic. As a matter of fact, when I got into it professionally and I started asking about automatic, I got laughed at, because nothing is automatic. Everything is set, everything has a setting, everything is locked here, locked there, which is why in the professional world, there's a DP, a director of photography, because he's the man with the look, right? The director is the one that feels out everything and tells you, no, I want this placed here, but the DP is the one that talks about the light and the color and the settings and the shutter speed and the this and that. When you are new, this is all fucking
absolutely, it's
complete mix-up. Right. I had no idea. Even the other day, they were talking about something called drop dead. Did you already drop dead? And I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? When what he was talking about, he was de-warping. I think it was a personal term he was using, but that little crew knew exactly what they were talking about. And he was talking about de-warping the wide lens of the GoPro because they wanted an iPhone look. But we couldn't get the iPhone look because it was hanging off the back of the drone and it was throwing off the CG and it was causing vibrations. So we threw a GoPro on it. And he was telling his editor, I need you to de-warp it and make it look like it's linear, you know? But they have their own terms for that. So from a guy that didn't know shit to now I have an idea of what they're talking about, I'm like, oh, okay. You know, but if you've never actually experimented with these cameras, which is what I told you a couple of weeks ago, I was like, before you get into these large cameras that have 1,000 settings, master the settings of the GoPro, because then that is transferable.
This is important information. This is important information, man. This is exactly the exclamation I wanted to hit, knock out the park. You exactly said what it was that needed to be said, because there's a give and take why you should use the GoPro,
Absolutely.
why it's important. And if it's not the GoPro, the action, whatever, you know,
whatever action cam,
something to get started with before you actually start spending, you know, a grip on something that you don't know how to use.
Yeah.
Man. This is important information for people like the noobs like myself and guys like you out there who's looking for information as well, man.
Absolutely.
So this is a good conversation.
This is at most a $500 camera when it just comes out. You know, the brand new GoPro. The Blackmagic has been out for years and it still costs $2,000. Right. You know, so like it's not just, it's the learning curve is steep.
I think it might have just went on sale. Whoever wants one. I think maybe like $300 less or something. Because there's a new Blackmagic coming up.
Is there really?
So with the Apple Vision Pro, there's a new Blackmagic that's for immersive.
Ooh.
Wow.
Which is where I want to go at some point, but I think it's gonna be $15K for that camera.
That's not $15K.
Yeah,
God.
You thought I was gonna say $1,500.
$1,500. I was like,
no.
Bring it back.
You could buy an Inspire 3 for that price,
but
bro.
this is next level. Like this is the future of how we're gonna view content, but it's still so new that, and it's not as affordable for the normal consumer, I guess.
Right.
And when it will be, it'll be pretty sick, to be honest.
And that's another topic that we could talk about. $15,000 to fucking put on a drone sounds ridiculous. The regular Joe Schmo flyer trying to do cinematic shit is not gonna put a $15,000 camera.
In the end, it's all about your goals, you know? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, are you just trying to come and fly for you know, because it's something that takes you away from everything else and you love it? Or are you actually trying to do something, and that, when you're trying to make a footprint in anything, you know, you need to come to this park and learn this GoPro inside 100%. And out. 100%. So when you're on a shoot, you can make a quick decision on like, okay, for example, on GoPro, I would use auto in a situation.
Of course.
Right.
But would you use auto or would you open up? You wouldn't hit auto, you'd be like 100, 400, or you would put it on auto.
You know, it's a good question, but it depends on the situation.
Okay.
Because if I need to use an ND outside and then I'm coming in to like a darker space, who knows, maybe you have to use auto on white balance as well, because you're coming in from like a lighter spot and then it's darker inside with like more reds, and who knows?
Yeah, no, for sure, absolutely.
If you notice, some videos can transition. So you fly in from light to dark, you can use a dark space to transition into like another shot and just continue that shot.
Absolutely.
So it really depends. But you know, I come to practice nowadays to try different like this GoPro has different lenses now, different settings, and I just want to see like what's possible, and what works for me and what doesn't. And the preparation is all about that at the end of the day.
And you know, putting a little bit extra on what Remy's saying. For example, when we fly the Mavics, right, and we're transitioning from light to day, or even on live TV when we're doing it, we normally have the ISO set to automatic, so that way we're not worrying about, oh, I gotta bump it up. And during the shot, it just gradually grows up, you know? And then you have the EV, which is the exposure value, which you could set. So normally we'll set it at like -0.3, so that way it maintains a nice contrast and the ISO won't be as high.
Especially if you do like hyperlapse or something
Stuff like that, exactly.
Because you don't have control over the drone at that point, in a sense. So you leave it up there for 10 minutes and
it just does
you
what
do
it
and
does.
clouds roll by. Yeah,
it
exactly.
changes completely. So.
But look, and going back to the whole ISO setting, the ISO on a GoPro is from that, in my opinion and in my experience, is the usable range is from 100 to 400. On a Mavic 3, it's from 100 to 800. On a Sony Alpha 7 IV, it's from 100 or even 50 in some settings, all the way up to 20,000.
But is 800 max? Because I think sometimes you get maxed out at a certain ISO depending on what format you're shooting.
Well, I'm talking about the max that I would use, that I know the film won't be noisy.
I thought you meant like it's
no,
maxed out
not
at
it's
800.
maxed out. No, I know that the GoPro 11 400
and the
is the
Mavic
max.
3 is 800.
The Mavic 3 is 800. I know that the 12, in certain dark lighting situations, you could go up to 800 and it will still be usable. But 1600 will be totally noisy, and the footage, now, we're talking cinematic, right?
Yeah.
If you're fucking doing it for Instagram, doesn't really fucking matter.
Yeah, that's a
right?
GoPro's good for Instagram.
Exactly.
You know.
But even Instagram could be cinematic, right?
Okay.
Even Instagram could be cinematic. Again, it goes back to what Remy says. What is the purpose of this shot?
Right. What's your application?
Why am I doing this for?
Right.
Am I doing it because I want to show you how cool I could power loop and Matty flip this thing? Or am I doing it because I want to showcase this park? Right?
Yeah.
If I'm showcasing this park, then I'm not trying to have anything noisy. I'm trying to be as crisp, and as, for me, in my editing style, I like vibrant colors. I like the way it looks, right? So I'm gonna edit it with vibrant colors, because the green of the grass on video looks a little dull to me. So I'm gonna bump up the greens, right?
Yeah.
Things like that. That's what I do to make it cinematic. But if I'm coming to freestyle, I don't give a fuck how it looks like. Like, I'm just gonna go and rip and do what I came to do.
Yeah,
I mean, it's also like what your vision is. It comes down to what your vision is in the end. Yeah, a client, a director might want a certain thing, and you add your skills to that in a sense of executing that. But when you're on your own and you want to do cinematic, you have to understand, like, I mean, look, you can come to this park and fly the trees and grass. Everybody's seen trees and grass in their life, most likely.
I would hope so.
They lived in the desert their whole life or something. But, you know, I think one of the biggest compliments can be, oh, this doesn't look real. This looks fake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's real.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
That's something that I'm like, okay.
Is that AI?
Yeah.
Nowadays,
You know,
yeah,
oh, is this
everything.
like, if people are questioning, that means that like something there was done right, whether it's just a perfect situation that you ran into and it just happened to come together, you know, or you executed it a certain way that, okay, that was different, you know? So, I mean, it's all like subjective,
Of course,
for everyone.
Absolutely,
you know,
absolutely. And this is why it's so good that the three of us are here, because it's three different places in the drone world, and experience, and why we do it and stuff like that. And I mean, Remy has multiple reels that have gone over millions of views. So I think it's a credible source of how things are done, you know, in the world out there. Multiple fucking reels in the millions, multiple countries, multiple applications, multiple cameras. And then you have people that don't do that, that also have multiple reels in the millions, but they're focused, like, I'll give you a perfect example, Peter FPV. Peter FPV is action cam all day, and he has 100,000 plus followers, and he has tons of viral fucking reels. But his application is freestyle. He's not trying to do cinematic.
That's his niche.
All my viral reels, I have 29 viral reels.
Okay.
I counted it the other day, I don't know why. But it's more for clients. that I counted.
Of course.
All iPhone or GoPro.
Or GoPro, exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
All 29 reels, GoPro or iPhone.
So the question is GoPro worthy of being a cinematic camera?
Tell us what you think. Let us know in the comments of what it is, how you feel this, you know?
I feel like I'm on a talk show today.
It's okay. No, that's good. That's good.
Call in and let us know. Caller 19 wins a free GoPro.
You already know what time it is, man.
No. Caller 19 does not win a free GoPro. Yes, a GoPro 6. Was there even a 6? I don't think there was.
If there's 0 comments on this, we'll give a GoPro away.
Oh, there you
know
go.
those?
Yeah.
Somebody just like writes anything.
Here first.
You heard it here. So
Any comment with 0 likes gets a GoPro.
So, in closing, real quick, GoPro versus the Red Komodo, Blackmagic, RE cameras. There's no comparison.
No comparison, but is GoPro not a cinematic camera? That's the question.
Dun dun dun.
what do you think?
Oh yeah! To all the pilots and pirates, all our family members and friends, anybody that stopped by to say hi, we thank you, man. We thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in. We back, baby. We back.
Let's go.
Yeah.